Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365, with your daily update for today, which is Wednesday. No, is today Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, April 21st. It's been a long week already. Now, today, we want to talk a little bit about some coronavirus stats first. Get those out of the way because the news isn't quite so bad today. It appears as if the spread has leveled off a little bit. We thought it felt like it might start to go back up a little bit. It hasn't yet at this point. And then we'll get to some other local and as well as national news for you. It's we're still everybody's still kind of processing the verdict that came out yesterday in the trial of Derek Chauvin, who now we can say definitively murdered George Floyd. So, feel free to chime in if you got thoughts on that. But there's been another, while we were waiting for that verdict, in fact, a teenager in Columbus, Ohio was shot and killed by police. We'll have some more news about that, an update on that in just a few minutes. But first, let's get to these stats because, again, they're not bad. 626 new cases today. That's on over 5,000 tests. So that's a much better number than we had yesterday. And in fact, that brings our daily average of new cases down to 672. That was over 800 just 2 days ago. So that's decent news. But again, you don't want to put any number in isolation. It's about the trend, the fact that it's going down. Also going down a little bit today is the 7-day positive test rate. Which is to say the percentage of tests in the past 7 days that return positive results is down to 3.4%. Now, we wanted that to be below 3.0, right? And we were below 3.0 for like a month earlier this spring. On March 14th, it hit 2.0, started to creep up a little bit. Last week, actually for almost 2 weeks earlier this month, it sort of hovered around 3.8, which is way too high. And now it appears to be hovering right around 3.5, 3.4. It's come down as low as 3.4, then back up to 3.5, back down to 3.4. So it's kind of hovering again. It's kind of leveling off, which I like that it's leveling off and not going any higher. I would like it to go lower, right? So how do we make it go lower? We got to just do the same things we've always been doing, which is to say, wear your mask, keep your distance, don't go out if you don't have to, especially with schools open. I feel like, most schools are open, at least part-time. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping the students masked and distanced and being very careful. But, there's large groups of people and there are these variants. We will get more data on the variants tomorrow. Every Thursday is when they give us variant data. But these variants are more contagious among children. So if we're going to send kids back to school, then the rest of us maybe have to step back in our level of social activity for a little bit, at least until we get vaccinated, right? So again, I think, for the most part, outdoor stuff seems to be pretty safe. You kind of never know with variants, but for the most part, being outside, even in groups, seems to have been okay. But if you can keep working from home, keep doing so. If you can avoid eating in restaurants, that kind of stuff. Try not to have indoor weddings or birthday parties, that kind of stuff. Because we got to keep that below 3 because we want our public health departments and our state health department focused on vaccine, right? The quicker we can get 80% vaccinated, the quicker we can leave all this behind and not even talk about this stuff anymore. I mean, I love coming on here to talk to you guys. I love being a journalist. It's my calling in life to be a news person. But if I never had to talk about COVID news again, I would be fine. Right? So let's get this over with. Now, speaking of vaccines, vaccines continue to slow a little bit, which I don't love. We are still doing right now, as of yesterday, we were at 44,000 537 doses per day for the past 7 days. We hit a peak. Oh my gosh, this is even higher than I realized. The peak back on the 11th of April, we were doing 63,000 doses a day. So it's actually dropped off kind of significantly. So I don't love that. 44,537 doses a day right now. I don't think that's because of hesitancy. I think it's more because of complacency. That's just my guess. I don't know that for sure. We know that Alliant Energy Center today tweeted that they have literally thousands of appointments available at, PHMDC, Public Health Madison-Dane County, tweeted that they have thousands of appointments available at between now and next week at Alliant Energy Center. Like, what are you doing? Go get vaccinated, guys. I think there's a certain segment of the population who are super excited to get vaccine and worked really hard to get an appointment. And back before a month ago when supply was a little bit more scarce, and there was a certain segment who were super eager to get it. I'm getting my second shot Friday, by the way. And then there's another small segment who are like, no, I'm never going to get it, either because they think it's political for some reason, or because they're like just basically anti-vaccine. And then there's a whole big swath of people who are just like, I'll get around to it. I'll get it when I can. I really want one, and I'll get it when I can. And my gut tells me that's what's driving this drop off. There's a whole bunch of people out here who are eligible, who are to get it, but who just kind of, it's inconvenient. It is to make 2 doctor's appointments. It's inconvenient, but there's a lot of us who have enough privilege where a little inconvenience can be managed. Because there's a lot of people out there for whom it's more than a minor inconvenience. A lot of people out there who getting to 2 doctor's appointments is almost impossible. So if you have the privilege to where it's just inconvenient for you, do the inconvenient thing, get the 2 appointments, get the vaccine, so that we can work together. That's what you can do right now. It's not just selfish for you. It's actually your contribution to the broader effort to get this thing done is to get yourself vaccinated. Yeah, it's inconvenient. Yeah, it sucks because it's not only just the 2 appointments, but it's like the next day after the appointment, you're sick, right? But that's what we got to do, right? Yeah, it's inconvenient. It's no fun, but we got to do it. Like, together we can beat this thing, but we got to do it. Now, as far as vaccines for the day, though, today we're reporting 57,000 doses administered, which is pretty good. We are now 28.8% fully vaccinated, both shots done. That's 41,000 finished their second shot just in the past 24 hours, which is great. So, a lot of good news on the vaccine front, but it is, 45,000 a day is still pretty good, right? But it's lower than it was. I want it to keep going up. I want it to keep getting faster and faster to get to 80% by July. That's the goal, right? Okay, that is okay. This is the best thing. Ryan notes that there are a couple spots around the state where you can walk in. Wisconsin Center is one of them. I'm not sure if they're still open, but I know like North Division and South Division High School had walk-in clinics where you don't have to make an appointment. If you find yourself free in the afternoon, just go get it. So that's congratulations to you, Ryan. Thank you for doing your part. So that's the news on coronavirus for today. We're going to take a short pause, hear from a sponsor, and then we'll have more news about a new name for Madison Memorial High School, a big grant program for artists, and the latest from Columbus, Ohio. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this.
Here in the Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
that's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care, we can do more. We can achieve more.
We can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
All right. Speaking of healthcare, speaking of disparities in healthcare, I'm going to mention another sponsor of the update this week, which is the Just Research program. Now, as you know, I'm sure, medicines and treatments for diseases are tested in clinical trials. And most of the people who are in those clinical trials are white. So even those diseases like lupus, diabetes, sickle cell, that primarily affect Black people, the treatments are tested on white people, and that makes no sense. So this Just Research program is not a clinical trial of any medicine. It's just an online survey. And they're asking for Black men and women over 40 to take a 10-minute online survey just to ask what is it that's preventing you from participating in clinical trials, and what kind of clinical trial would you participate in, so they can design clinical trials in the future to include more Black people. It makes sense. So if you're interested, if you have 10 minutes to spare, and I should say also, this survey was designed with consultation from Aaron Perry, who runs the Men's Health Clinic on the West Side and is founder of the Rebalance Life Wellness Association, recognized as the national leader in Black men's health. So this is not just white people designing the survey either for this one. But if you're interested, you got a few minutes to spare, call the number on the screen, 608-709-9470, or shoot an email to justresearch@ictr.wisc.edu. Also in the news today, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we did a story on a student at Madison Memorial High School, or I guess she had just graduated, when she started this movement to rename the school. James Madison doesn't particularly have any connection to Madison, Wisconsin. It was just sort of named after him. But James Madison Memorial High School explicitly honors James Madison, who owned enslaved people. So there's a Black student who graduated and sort of started a proposal to change the name of the school, and was kind of dismissed at the time. One of the less intelligent arguments against it was, well, you can't have a school named after Madison. What do we have to change the name of the whole city? And the answer is, well, maybe there was a city here before this called Techope. Maybe we can, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to argue about that, but there's been a little bit of movement on it since then, a little bit of conversation about it. Some people recently have proposed Val Phillips as a person to honor, to name that school after. She is more known as a Milwaukee person, frankly, than a Madison person. Another name that was proposed was Bruce Dahmen High School. He was a coach and a teacher at the school for decades, beloved coach. But the one that's really kind of starting to take shape and get some momentum is to name it after Darlene Hancock, who taught at Memorial High School, but is also sort of better known for being the first Black woman principal in the Madison Metro School District. And she has been a champion for education, advocate for children, a beloved person. If you've been in Madison for a while, you know who Darlene Hancock is. And there's now a petition and a process to rename Madison Memorial High School as Darlene Hancock High School. Now, Falk Elementary School recently got renamed into as Malele Chakasa Anana Elementary School, and that process took a little over 2 years. Like it's a long, deliberative process. So this isn't going to happen tomorrow, but it's happening. It seems, and there seems to be some momentum behind it, and so we'll see where that goes, and we will follow that process as it goes, and we'll keep you informed. Also today, Dane County announced a $1 million grant fund specifically for Dane County artists who are affected by the pandemic. It's a recovery grant, basically, for local artists and performers not just visual artists, but performing artists as well. The grants, relatively small grants, $2,500, but when you're trying to make ends meet as an artist, a little bit of money can go a long way. So the Dane Arts Need Grant, DANG, clever acronym, was first created last summer, and it only had $120,000, and it split that among 275 artists. So each one got only $500, which is a start. But this is a big addition to that, $1 million to add it to that, to really provide some substantive support to help local artists recover. And the information, including how to apply for that, is on the website right now, Madison365.org. Turning now to national news. In Columbus, Ohio, Mikayla Bryant was shot and killed by a Columbus police officer literally while we were waiting. Well, we knew that there was a verdict in on the Derek Chauvin trial, and before we learned what it was, there was a fight outside a home. Ms. Bryant was in a foster home here. She's 15 or 16, depending who you talk to. And there was clearly a fight happening. She had a knife. She was, it's unclear. We have about 20 seconds of body cam video. I'm not going to show it to you. It's pretty traumatizing to watch. But it's clearly there was a large group of teenagers fighting. You don't know who instigated what. You don't know who's defending themselves, anything like that. You just know that a cop rolls up and immediately draws his gun. Like, there was no thought about taser. There's no thought about physical restraint, anything like that. And it's hard to make a judgment based on 20% of body cam video from here, because you don't, when you're looking at body cam video, something I've kind of learned is that it's not the same thing as your eyes, right? You're seeing a relatively narrow thing. You don't see what he's seeing when he's doing this, looking around. So it's really hard to say whether or not this shooting was justified. It is tragic in any case. And we'll get more information. Just a brief look at it. It doesn't seem that deadly force was the only option here. It also doesn't seem like the other police officers on the scene rendered aid very quickly. So we'll see if there's any repercussions from that. But it's tragic all around, and there will certainly be more information shared as we learn more about it, as a state level investigation is underway. All right, that is the news I have for you today. It's a chilly night, but it looks like a nice day out. I know there's a lot of places around the state got some snow today, which I warned everybody, don't get too comfortable with the nice 70-degree weather. There's always one more blizzard in April, right? So we'll have more news for you tomorrow. We'll have the It's Only 10 Minutes podcast first thing in the morning. So wherever you get your podcast, just search for It's Only 10 Minutes. It's usually more like 20 minutes, to be honest with you. That title is kind of a joke. But I'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock with another update. And as always, just keep tabs at Madison365.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for the latest news all day long. Have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you again soon.
This is 365 Media.